Imagine this. You meet someone new, a lover, a friend, a colleague, and at first everything feels electric. There's a pull, an inexplicable magnetism, as if fate itself has intervened. You tell yourself, this time, it's different. This time, they're the right one. But then, slowly, the cracks appear. The lover who once adored you becomes distant, cruel, or unfaithful. The friend who seemed so kind reveals a hidden envy, a subtle competition you never signed up for. The colleague who promised support instead undermines you, leaving you wondering, why does this keep happening? You've read the self-help books. You've tried affirmations, boundaries, even therapy. Yet here you are again, standing in the wreckage of another failed connection, asking yourself the same haunting question. Why do I keep attracting the wrong people? The answer is not what you think. It's not about luck. It's not about manifesting the wrong energy. It's not even about them. It's about the part of yourself you refuse to see. The paradox of attraction. We like to believe we choose the people in our lives, that our relationships are the result of conscious decisions, preferences, and free will. But what if the opposite is true? What if, beneath the surface, you are not the chooser, but the chosen, drawn into orbits you never consciously consented to? Carl Jung called this phenomenon projection, the unconscious act of casting our hidden qualities onto others. We see in them what we cannot see in ourselves. The cruel partner mirrors our own repressed rage. The unreliable friend reflects our own unacknowledged flakiness. The manipulative boss embodies the shadowy tactics we ourselves have used in moments of desperation. This is the unsettling truth. You don't attract who you want. You attract who you are, or rather, who you secretly believe yourself to be. The ghosts in your relationships. Think of the last person who hurt you, the one who left you feeling betrayed, abandoned, or unseen. Now ask yourself, have I ever done something similar to someone else? Is there a version of me, even a fleeting one, that could act as they did? What does my reaction to them reveal about what I refuse to accept in myself? The people who trigger you the most are not random. They are messengers, delivering a truth you've been avoiding. Jung called this the shadow, the repressed, denied, or disowned aspects of our psyche. And here's the cruel irony. The more you reject these traits within yourself, the more they manifest in the people around you. The controlling partner? They're a reflection of your own unexpressed need for dominance. The emotionally distant friend? They mirror the walls you've built to protect yourself. The narcissistic parent? They embody the love you secretly believe you deserve. This is not blame, it's revelation. The great question. So here's the question that changes everything. What if the wrong people aren't mistakes, but mirrors? What if every toxic relationship, every painful betrayal, every heartbreak is not a sign that the universe is against you, but a coded message from your own unconscious? And most importantly, what if the key to breaking the cycle isn't out there, but buried within the very parts of yourself you've spent a lifetime running from? The answer lies in the shadows, and the journey begins where fear meets truth. You've felt it before, that eerie sense of déjà vu in a new relationship. The same arguments, the same disappointments, the same sinking realization. Not again. Why does this happen? Why, despite your best intentions, do you find yourself back in the same emotional trap? The answer lies in a force more powerful than conscious choice. The unconscious compulsion to recreate what we know, even if what we know is pain. The repetition. Compulsion, Freud's haunting discovery. Sigmund Freud first named this phenomenon repetition compulsion, the mind's eerie tendency to reenact old wounds in new scenarios. A child neglected by a parent grows up to chase emotionally unavailable partners. A person betrayed by a friend tolerates disloyalty again and again, as if trying and failing to rewrite the past. But why? Why would the psyche seek out suffering? Freud believed it was an attempt to gain mastery over trauma. If we can relive the pain but this time control it, perhaps we can finally heal. Yet instead of healing, we remain stuck in a loop, like a record skipping on the same tragic note. Jung took this further. He argued that these repetitions aren't just psychological, they're archetypal, woven into the very fabric of human experience. We don't just replay our personal history, we replay the unresolved dramas of our ancestors, our culture, even mythology itself. The shadow's role. What you deny, you attract. Here's where Jung's theory of the shadow becomes critical. The shadow is the part of the psyche that houses everything we refuse to acknowledge about ourselves. Our rage, our selfishness, our manipulative tendencies, our deepest fears of inadequacy. And because we refuse to face these traits within, we encounter them without, in the people who hurt us. The partner who abandons you? They act out your own fear of being unworthy of love. The friend who betrays you? They embody the part of you that fears you're not truly loyal. The boss who belittles you? They mirror your own unconscious self-contempt. This isn't about blaming the victim. It's about recognizing a brutal truth. We are drawn to people who reflect our deepest, most unacknowledged wounds because, on some level, we are still trying to solve them. Nietzsche's warning. The danger of unlived lives. Friedrich Nietzsche once wrote, "Become who you are." It sounds simple, but beneath the surface, it's a warning. When we refuse to confront our shadow, when we deny our capacity for darkness, selfishness, or cruelty, we don't eliminate those traits. We outsource them. We attract people who will live them out for us, forcing us to confront what we've buried. This is why toxic relationships feel so addictive. They're not just painful, they're familiar. They resonate with the stories we've told ourselves about love, power, and worthiness since childhood. And until we change those stories, we remain prisoners of them. The societal trap, how culture keeps us stuck. But this isn't just personal. Society depends on our unconscious repetitions. Consumer culture thrives on your insecurity, keeping you chasing validation through status, beauty, or wealth. Modern love is often reduced to a transaction. What can you do for me? Rather than a true meeting of souls. Even spirituality gets twisted into a form of bypassing. Just think positive. Manifest better people. None of this works because none of it addresses the root. Until you face what's hidden within, you will keep attracting its reflection. The turning point. When the pattern becomes clear. So here's the moment of reckoning. What if the people you've been blaming, the exes, the friends, the family members who hurt you, were never the real problem? What if they were simply actors in a play written by your unconscious, repeating the same themes until you finally wake up and rewrite the script? This isn't a comforting thought, it's a terrifying one, because it means the power and the responsibility lies with you. But it's also the only path to freedom. You tell yourself this time will be different, but deep down, you already know how this story ends. The same fights, the same disappointments, the same hollow feeling of, why does this keep happening to me? But what if it's not happening to you? What if it's happening through you? The patterns you refuse to confront don't just replay in your relationships. They rewrite your mind, your body, even your perception of reality. The neurological trap. How your brain rewires itself for pain. Every time you tolerate disrespect, betray your own boundaries, or cling to someone who hurts you, you're not just making a bad decision. You're training your brain to expect pain as normal. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire itself, works both ways. Just as you can build muscles through repetition, you can condition your mind to associate love with suffering. Dopamine, the craving chemical, spikes when you're in the push-pull of a toxic dynamic, making the chaos addictive. Cortisol, the stress hormone, keeps you hyper-vigilant, scanning for threats even in healthy relationships. Over time, your nervous system starts to interpret calm as boring and dysfunction as passion. This is why leaving feels impossible. It's not just emotional, it's physiological. Your body has learned to crave the poison. The identity crisis, when your wounds become who you are. Here's the most insidious consequence. The more you replay these patterns, the more you become them. A child who grows up with criticism doesn't just experience shame, they become it. Their posture slumps, their voice quiets, they apologize for existing. An adult who keeps choosing unavailable partners doesn't just feel unworthy, they embody unworthiness. They settle, they shrink, they disappear into the needs of others. Jean-Paul Sartre called this bad faith, the lie we tell ourselves when we pretend we have no choice. I'm just unlucky in love. All the good ones are taken. This is as good as it gets. But these aren't facts. They're symptoms, proof that the wound has hijacked your identity. The social mirror. How culture reinforces your dysfunction, society rewards your suffering. Romantic comedies glorify the grand gesture after weeks of mistreatment. Pop psychology tells you to just love yourself harder, as if self-loathing is a choice. Even religion and spirituality can become tools of avoidance. It's a lesson from the universe, rather than calls to action. Worse, modern dating has turned human connection into a marketplace. Apps condition you to see people as disposable. Social media turns relationships into performances. The message is clear. If it's not perfect, swipe left. If they're not perfect, you're settling. But perfection doesn't exist. Only patterns do. And until you break yours, you'll keep mistaking familiar for right. The existential cost, a life half lived. The greatest tragedy isn't the pain you endure, it's the life you don't. Every moment spent in a draining relationship is a moment stolen from your growth. Every ounce of energy wasted on someone who doesn't value you is energy you could have poured into your art, your purpose, your joy. Viktor Frankl, the Holocaust survivor and psychiatrist, wrote that, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. But when you're trapped in repetition, that space disappears. You react instead of choose. You survive instead of live." The awakening, seeing the pattern for the first time. So here's the question that cracks everything open. What if the reason you keep attracting the wrong people isn't about them, but about what you've been running from in yourself? What if every toxic relationship was never a punishment, but a mirror, showing you the parts of yourself you've been too afraid to face? This isn't about blame, it's about power. The moment you see the pattern, you can break it. You've reached the crossroads, the moment where awareness turns into action. Understanding why you attract the wrong people is only half the battle. The real transformation begins when you stop explaining your pain and start dismantling it. This is not about positive thinking or superficial fixes. This is rebellion against your conditioning, your fears, and the stories you've mistaken for truth. Step 1. Shadow work, Jung's path to wholeness. Carl Jung's greatest insight was this: you cannot heal what you refuse to face. Shadow work is the process of dragging your unconscious wounds into the light. It's not about self-punishment. It's about reclaiming the disowned parts of yourself so they stop controlling you from the shadows. How to begin? Identify your triggers. Who angers you? Who makes you feel insecure? These emotional reactions are clues to your shadow. The traits you judge most harshly in others are often the ones you deny in yourself. Ask the brutal question, have I ever done something similar? The liar who betrayed you, have you ever bent the truth to protect yourself? The narcissist who drained you, have you ever craved validation to feel whole? Dialogue with your shadow. Write a letter from the part of you that's capable of the behavior you hate. Let it speak without censorship. This isn't about justifying harm. It's about integrating your full humanity so you stop projecting it onto others. Step 2. Nietzsche's self-overcoming, breaking the chain of pain. Friedrich Nietzsche proclaimed, "You must become who you are, but first you must destroy who you've been conditioned to be." The rebellion takes 3 acts. Burn the old scripts. What stories have you inherited? Love is sacrifice. I'm not enough. All the good ones are taken. These are not truths. They are programs, and you have admin access to delete them. Embrace your will to power. Not power over others, but power over yourself. The courage to set boundaries, walk away, and demand reciprocity. Toxic relationships thrive on your willingness to tolerate less. Stop negotiating with emotional terrorists. Create new patterns, neurons that fire together, wire together. Every time you choose self-respect over familiar pain, you rewrite your neural pathways. This isn't about perfection, It's about practice, one defiant choice at a time. Step 3, the art of conscious attraction. Once you stop running from your shadow, something unexpected happens. The wrong people lose their magnetism. You no longer feel drawn to chaos because you've made peace with your own. You stop seeking validation from broken mirrors because you've learned to see yourself clearly. How to attract from wholeness. Become the archetype you seek. Want a loyal partner? Embody loyalty to yourself first. Crave emotional depth? Cultivate it within, and you'll repel surface-level connections. Let the wrong ones leave. When you stop chasing, fixing, or begging, the takers and energy vampires will vanish. They don't leave because you're unworthy. They leave because you're no longer useful. Surrender the fantasy of control. You can't make someone love you well, but you can choose to only participate in love that's already whole. The turning point. When the spell breaks, there will be a moment, a conversation, a breakup, a quiet morning, when you realize you're no longer the same person. The drama feels hollow. The toxic charm feels transparent. The patterns that once felt inevitable now feel like choices you're no longer willing to make. This is the rebellion's victory, not just leaving the wrong people, but no longer recognizing them as home. There comes a point in every great transformation when the struggle suddenly makes sense. All the heartbreak, the frustration, the why do I keep ending up here? It wasn't punishment, it wasn't bad luck, it was preparation. The ultimate truth is this: you didn't attract the wrong people because you were broken. You attracted them because somewhere deep inside, you already knew you were whole, and they were the friction required to polish you into proof. The Alchemy of Wounds, How Pain Becomes Power. Carl Jung wrote, "I am not what happened to me, I am what I choose to become." This is the secret your suffering was trying to teach you. Every toxic relationship was a masterclass in boundaries. Every betrayal was a lesson in discernment. Every heartbreak carved out the exact hollow space required to hold real love. The people who hurt you were never the villains of your story. They were the harsh but necessary sculptors of your sovereignty. The existential shift from seeking to being. Here's the paradox no one tells you. The moment you stop needing love to complete you is the moment you become capable of true connection. Jean-Paul Sartre called this authenticity, the realization that you are already free, that your worth isn't something others confer, but something you carry intact through every interaction. This changes everything. You no longer take love, you participate in it. You no longer fear abandonment, you honor alignment. You no longer attract, you choose from a place of unshakable presence, the shadow's gift. Why your darkness was always your light. Remember those traits you hated in others? The neediness, the manipulation, the aggression? They were never your enemies. They were exiled parts of your soul, begging to be integrated. The lover who ghosted you taught you to value your own presence. The friend who betrayed you showed you where your boundaries needed fortifying. The parent who criticized you forced you to develop your own inner compass. Nietzsche was right. You must have chaos within you to give birth to a dancing star. Your wounds weren't obstacles to your greatness. They were the raw materials. The final realization. You were never the victim. This is the hardest but most liberating truth. The cycle only breaks when you stop seeing yourself as the one who was done to and start recognizing yourself as the one who participated. Not because you deserve pain, but because on some level you knew it would force your evolution. Now you stand at the threshold of a new paradigm. Not, why does this keep happening to me? But what is this preparing me to become? The invitation, how to walk forward differently. The work isn't over, it's just changed form. When old patterns whisper, thank them for their service, then let them go. When new connections test your boundaries, stand firm, not as punishment, but as prophecy. When you catch yourself judging others, ask, where does this live in me? This is how the alchemy completes, not by avoiding darkness, but by learning to dance with it. The last words you'll need. One day soon, you'll catch yourself in the middle of an old story and pause. The anger won't taste the same. The hurt won't fit like it used to. The ghosts of who you once were will smile and fade, their work finally done. And in that moment, you'll understand. All along, you weren't attracting the wrong people. You were meeting the exact right teachers, each one perfectly designed to bring you back to yourself. Now go. The world needs what you've become.